Hey, how you guys doing? What we're gonna do here is we're going to one second. Perfect. Okay, everything's going good. We're gonna go over a game that I played as black. This is a really good one, a 5 minute game. And so what I want to do is take a look at how the imbalance worked, like what Jeremy Silman talked about. That each sorry each move there's a drawback like Maurice Ashley says, but also like if you have two knights and your opponent has two bishops, you want to keep the position close. If you have two in the center and across the board, if you have if your opponent has two knights, you have two bishops, you want to open the center, keep the board open for your bishops. We're going to turn off the engine for right now. Okay, my opponent played d4. I played e6, and then he did the queen's gambit. I did the queen's gambit, declined. What's actually the full queen's gambit decline is c6, but I didn't want to go into that line. I wanted to develop. I wanted to kind of keep with development, so I went c f6, and potentially I have bishop to b4 check. But that's a long run, and potentially I have c5. C5 is a really interesting move as well. It stakes a claim in the center on the c pawn, so if he takes, I can develop my bishop to c5. So he plays there. I played bishop d6. At this point, when he played bishop f4, I thought to myself, what's the idea of bishop to f4? Bishop to f4 is to control this whole diagonal c h2 to c b8 diagonal. I apologize. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And so what I'm trying to do is you have to look at the position as a whole. Jeremy Silman would say, don't calculate. Find an idea in the position. See, what I want to do is I want to stake. The whole idea is the claim in the center at this moment. Development is important. So what he's going to do is retreat back. I take, and yes, I have surrendered my good bishop. But what happens now is I have the potential to play c5. c5 does a lot of damage. I can go bishop to a5, queen a5. See, the idea now is because I have a light square bishop, I need to get my pawns on the opposite color of my bishop. I either need to do one thing, get my pawns on the opposite color of my bishop, or I need to trade off the center and make my bishop more active than my opponent's bishop. That's the imbalance. So that's an idea. That's why I played c5. Was now one pawn is on the opposite color of my bishop, so we're starting our idea. And then as well, this knight now has a spot to go to c6, which then controls the center, and potentially when the center opens I'll have full development. And also if I need to, I can always play b6. Another pawn is on the opposite color, and then my bishop has free reign of the a6, the c8 to a6 diagonal to keep an eye on the center. So that's an idea. He goes to e5. I go c takes d5. He goes knight takes d5, which is really interesting. At this point, I decide to go knight to c6, and he takes, and if he takes here, I can take back, and then yes, my pawns are on the same color as my bishop, but I do have these open files now to work with. So I can move here if I need to on b7, and then potentially open up, and then I have this whole file to use for my light square bishop. He goes knight to c6. I go a6. Now, a6 takes advantage of a lot of different ideas. If he takes here, I'll trade. Then he'll take with his bishop, his rook or his king. Either one, he'll lose the ability for castling. As well, I have a potential pawn takes or a potential bishop takes. He goes a4. I go queen to b6. See, the imbalance in this position is his queen left. He potentially has castling on the king side, queen side. Sorry. So we have to keep an eye on what do we want to do. I have the potential of attacking faster. If he castles queenside, I have the potential of attacking faster because I can double up and then hammer down on the king. So he castles, I castle, then he goes c5 to attack the queen. I then have to make a decision. I made this is kind of an interesting idea. Potentially, probably taking would have been a better idea before castling, but I didn't want to. I could have taken here. Then if he played bishop takes, queen take, I played bishop takes, queen takes. Then I castle kingside, and I have more central control because I can play rook a b8, and then I have this open file, and then I can always play knight to d5, which controls the center. So now the center potentially would be under my control, and he would have kind of a really, he potentially might go knight a4, but that's a bad move because I can always go b5, queen b5. Then if he takes, I have an open file here, open file there to attack the king. So you have to think about those ideas. So I lost my bishop here, so I had to say to myself, you know what, you made a slight inaccurate move. It's not over. You know what, I am castled. His position on the queen side is pretty dangerous for him. He needs to be really careful of the position opening up. Like potentially I have rook b8, queen b6, and then hammering home. Or I may even be able to reroute and potentially go here and then take advantage of that. There's a lot. I go knight to e4. I was planning on him taking here. Actually, I'm sorry, he can't take there, my bad. I was actually using the ability to attack a knight and attack a rook at the same time. So when he played there, I took. And so now, yes, you'd say, didn't you allow an open file to happen? But I have a rook on f8 to guard. His pawns are fractured on the king side. So the chance of a kingside attack coming for white is really zilch, 0 to none, because remember, he needed the pawn on f2 for any advance to happen. Now these pawns are isolated and they really can't do anything. And he has tons and tons and tons of weaknesses. So he goes rook hd1, and then I have to decide, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? Which rook do I want to take? And so I took took the d rook, because my idea is potentially to play e5 and then d4, or potentially rook, bring my rook in and get the pawn to here. So a to b8 was my first move. That takes advantage of the b2 pawn, which means he can't really move his king over here. He'd lose another pawn, which would be devastating to him. And if he moved to b1, with that put his pawn in a pin, so he'd be in a big problem. I potentially have b6 for the queen and hammering home an attack. So I even have, and then I can double up and have an attack. So everything's operation attack for me. So he goes b6, which was, in my opinion, of slight inaccuracy, because now I have the ability of implementing my plan. He's going to have to worry about me. Now I can push now. I also can push here. So he doesn't really have any way of handling this idea now. His rook would have to come back, and then if it does come back, his knight's still pinned. I also have the ability of queen to f3. I can win another pawn, pin his rook, attack his knight. I have these mega center pawns. So he goes king d2, and then I go queen rook to b4, which that's a devastating attack, just crushing. Because what happens at this point when he goes a3, I'm planning on playing e4, and then if he goes rook to d4, I'm going to take with check. When his pawn takes, I win the queen. And so I attacked his rook. He played knight to a4. I'm just going to retreat my queen back to e2. I mean e7. Sorry, I'm black. And then now I still have this threat of doubling up. I have this threat of coming to potentially, winning the rook. I apologize. And there's just so much. So he goes rook c3. That was a blunder. This right here was the losing move. He I don't know what he could do actually at this point. Maybe just suck up. I mean, just say I made a mistake, or I made an inaccurate move, and just say, you know what, I'm gonna lose a rook. You know what, the game's not over. You know, he's still got his bishop and knight. He's gonna lose a rook, but he still could potentially hold the game. I doubt it though, because I'm playing, so you know, just joking a little bit. You know, we have to all have. We don't want to be ego. We don't want to have an ego. So when he played there, I'm gonna let you guys step back for a second and put in what you think the move that actually wins the game. Okay, if you guys say, if you guys say rook to d4 check, you are correct. That does a discovery and a check, so that's winning. He takes there, and I take here on a3, which now I've won a queen. So that's kind of why he should have retreated his queen out. Back here, he should have just, rather than move his rook, just moved his queen like potentially out there. And if he takes, yeah, he has some sort of a problem, but he could take back here and potentially hold, maybe do a fortification, maybe. But when he played the move here, that was game over at that point. He thought he could save his rook, but in reality he lost a queen. So I took there, he took there, I took, he played there, I took. Now I'm attacking the knight and the rook, and I potentially have another pawn here, another pawn there, another pawn everywhere. He plays there, and I just take again. He plays bishop there. I now just check, and I'm winning a piece. He plays there. I just take the queen, the bishop. He plays there. At this point, he resigned. I'll show you what the end result would be if he played there. We have a potential here. Let me see. Hold on. Check. If he plays there. Oh, I apologize. My bad. That's the devastating KO there. Because then I could push and I win. So we need to E1's the correct move sequence at this point. Get rid of E1's the correct move, then there, and at that point you push, And if he tries to hold here, you can actually, I think we can just take. I don't know if we want to take. I might just play rook takes, then we king takes, pawn takes. Yeah, that's what I'd play. And then I potentially I have queen. I could actually queen here, and he has really only two moves that he could play. I can actually play here. It's not, if you're wondering, whoa, that's stalemate. No, he has a pawn move, and then you just finish the game off. So that was a really good one that I played about 7 hours ago. I'm going to show you another one that I played. I'm playing as white, so we'll analyze this board. He goes for the modern attack, which Nakamura really likes to play because it's more of a blitz type of opening. Because let's say you only have a minute, you can do this move here. I mean, you could do here for the pawn, and then bishop, knight, castle, king side, and you've already have like 5 moves instantly. So it saves you a lot of time. But this was a 5-minute game, so he didn't need to play that fast. Knight c6, c3, and then c4. Now you know what? I'm just playing principles. I'm just doing like what Jeremy Silman said to do. Take the center, control the center. If I can hold the center, and then I can start maneuvering my pieces, and I can bring the Thor's hammer down on my opponent. He castled, I castle. Now we're safe, and potentially I have. He has g4. I go e5. D takes e5. Pawn takes e5. Queen takes d. Takes, g takes, knight h5. I go f4 because this bishop guards the pawn, protects this pawn, and now I have the ability to play bishop to e3, knight to either e4, e2, and then come in. If he takes, then I can create my wall of pawns, and I'll have the 2 bishops, which is an advantage here. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Takes. Huh. Yeah, that is. You could. Let's see. I believe it's equal. Yeah. Yeah, I believe it's equal at that point. Yep. That is true. True. So. I didn't really consider that. Yeah, so I gotta be honest, I didn't consider that. So I thought about taking here and then kind of opening up the. Yeah, it is good. You have 3 versus actually 4 versus 3. My bad. And the 2 rooks really don't have any open files. They only have 1. And so it wouldn't be that hard for me to, get down to a 3 versus 2. I'd have these 3 pieces versus a knight and a rook, and these 3 pieces would dominate those pieces. It would just be really pain and more pain. But I didn't think about that. That would have been an interesting idea. I'll have to put that in my arsenal of move sequences. That's a good find right there. So I was thinking about taking here, but then I thought I have the 2 bishop advantage, and I'm like, what came to my mind? Jeremy Silman was this. I have 2 bishops. Why give my 2 bishop advantage up for a knight that is very icky, and some turns he has no way of getting out of this potential spot. Yeah, and what I want to do, well, my whole idea is I want to have him take for this one reason. Then I can create my wall of pawns, and I have his bishop now stuck. His bishop is stuck on one side of the board. Yeah, this reconnects my pawns, and I have the two bishop. Yeah, I have the two bishop advantage, and I actually use it to really good effect. So, and there's my connection of pawns, and I'm like, sweet. The base pawn is right here, so the chance of him, weakening this structure is pretty bad. As well, his space advantage on the king side is almost nothing. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I always wondered why he didn't play that. That does, but the sitch is what I was thinking is rook to d7 at that point, and that would handle that sitch right away. Yeah, and yeah, I could potentially, yeah. Yeah, so he would actually lose material. It wouldn't be fun for him. So rook 81. I moved my bishop because I want him to take. Then I can dominate this open file. He plays a4. I play a4. Sorry. My a4 has a potential, like Jeremy Silman says, if you can't infiltrate on one side, start attacking on the other side. Make him have to worry about his structure falling. Oh, we'll have to go back and we'll check that out. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see what let's see. Yeah, I believe that's this. Yeah, that's like crushing. That's just devastating of an attack. I don't really see. He'd have to play here, and then I can actually lock the position down at that point. And if he takes, I have two taking ideas here or there, but I like my bishop move best. There's actually three. He could play here, and then I can take there, and I could just gobble the queen side pawns up like Pac-Man. And if he plays there, I can just gobble another pawn if need be. Oh yeah, just gobble. Keep gobbling, gobbling, gobbling. And if he plays rook here, so what? I retreat back, and I have such a dominating position that it's just so much. It's like so happy. It makes me so happy. When we have such a dominating position. Yeah. And I do the right move. I want to keep my bishops on the board because potentially I want to go a5, soften up his queen side a little bit. Because if he pushes, then this pawn goes. So a5 is a threat for him. He goes knight to b4, and I'm like, huh. What's a good move? The idea of c3 came to mind, which now his choke point, he'll have to go back, and then I can play a5 and totally give him a lot of problems. Yeah. And then I go a5, and he goes a4, a8, b takes a, takes, and then c4. If I can get this knight kicked out, that pawn will fall. So that was my idea, and boom, baby, I just collapse right on him. It's like pain. And now if he tries to play here, which that would be a horrible idea because I have bishop to c5 with a fork on the knight and pawn, and it's just nothing but pain because I could take, and I could take, and actually something similar to that actually happens. So. And now I control this really powerful open file. I know this is a strong one as well, but this one is like dominating because this bishop guards the d1, so that's an idea. Now my two bishops are coming to their best spots now. Rook b8, c5, and it's like, what you're gonna do now, I now have the ability of f3, and I can hammer home. I have rook a4. Yeah. Let's see, d6. d6. Oh, f6. Gotcha. And then now I'm going for, I want to play rook to a4, get this knight out of here, and then potentially I have maybe rook, then I can infiltrate all the way in and come in and smack that pawn off. It's a juicy pawn ready to fall. In my mind, that's what I thought. a4, then I go a4 first. He plays back, and then now at this point I thought, do I push here? There's really no life to that move. I don't want him to go after this pawn, so I play b4. And now there's a potential threat of bishop to e2, and then b5, and the last pawn will fall. This pawn also is about to fall. Everything in his position is collapsing. He's falling apart, like fall apart on Bonkers in the cartoon. He's falling apart like that. And so now he just helps me to take over. Let's see here. How could I trap the knight? I don't think I could trap the knight here. Let's see, if I attacked the knight, he could actually move back there attacking my bishop, so I don't want that to happen. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I should play here. That would actually be a stellar idea. I was thinking there and then coming in and hammering the pawn, but I kind of missed that he could go knight c4, so a6, and so I had to kind of retreat back a little bit. He wanted to go for my light square bishop. Yeah. And so he allowed me to take there, and it was like, really? And then the threat is I now have a crushing idea. Now if he plays, this was my idea. Now if he plays knight takes knight, I have rook takes, pawn takes, and there's no way to stop the pawn from queening because he can't get there in time. Well, maybe I think he might be able to get there in time. Wait a second. I think he could have got there in time. Now that I think about it. Yeah, I think he could have. Yeah, potentially. Maybe b takes. I think that was best, now that I think about it. Because then I can push here and go a8. Yeah, that's crushing. Because now if he plays here, I can just push there. Hold on. Oh, check. Snap. Snap. He could have won a rook. Snap, snap, snap. Wow. That was a big time mistake there on my part. Yikes. Yikesies, yikesies. Yeah, that was a tide turner. Youch. Yeah, and at this point, I'm so blessed I didn't he didn't play that because I placed there and there. Now I have the two bishops. These pawns are gonna promote. So he goes bishop d3, and then I go c6, and he resigns because there's no way that he's gonna now stop this pawn from queening. There's no way. It's totally no way. So that That was I just wanted to show you how two bishops really can dominate if you know how to use them properly. Okay, and now we will go into our puzzles and we'll start building up our puzzle rating again and learning. Alrighty. Righty-roo. Okay, so this is an end game here. I'm going to try to do more. Oh, you want to look at this game? Okay. Oh, is this... let's see. When is this the one that he played just recently? Let's see. Oh, 2004. This is a pretty long time ago. Wow, this is a pretty long one. That's good though. I think he's competing in a tournament right now, if I'm not mistaken. Well, this one, actually I'll just pull up another board. I like those there. Those are really good. Then we'll just end that. Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty-roo. Okay, which one's Nakamura? He's white. Perfect. Yeah. I really haven't followed that one, so I've been doing a lot more studies and work and stuff, and so yeah. So I really haven't had time. I've been trying to look at some games and kind of go over my games to make sure that I'm playing properly. The best example of okay, let's move these off. The best way of learning, they found out, is actually to go over your own games. So that's sometimes what you can do. Let's see, Naka goes C4. A lot of the grandmasters like Sicilians. I've noticed that. I think it's more they Yazzer, Jennifer, and Christians says that it's more of a sharper line, so you can have more tactics going on in it. So that's what they usually do. So right there. Wow, Naka is really hammering home, isn't he? E5. Oh, he pins the knight. Takes. Interesting. So 0-0 right now. It's pretty interesting to actually see a grandmaster bring his queen out that early. So that's an interesting. 1 second. It's interesting for sure. Takes with check. Wow. Nakamura is really giving an attack to Karyakin, isn't he? Wow. Yeah. You're getting to see what Jeremy Silman talked about, reactive chess. Karyakin is reacting to all of Nakamura's threats by the reason he has to go a6 is to stop knight to b5, g5. Sorry, b5's over here. Knight g5 check, and then a huge attack. Yeah. If you know, a lot of players know how to use it, and potentially now Nakamura can actually maybe go c4, but I don't think that's good because then Karyakin could actually go d5 and block that, but then he could take the pawn there. Very interesting for sure. It might help Karyakin out though. If he plays there, he could fianchetto his bishop. So I'm not sure if a check's actually good there. I think it helps Karyakin out. So wow, nice. That's the mega attack. You gotta love this tactic. Can't take there because whoop. Whoop, it's gone. So he has to move g7. Knight takes pawn, and boom, baby. But queen, actually he has to move his queen, doesn't he? Man, this is like devastation. b4. Yeah, that too. More likely that's the best move, like what you were saying. After queen check here rather than here or there, bishop to e6 is best because the king was here to protect it. So yeah, that actually helps Karyakin out. I think that's 2 moves or 3 moves ago. So he goes there now. That's an interesting move for sure. I kind of see why he can't take here, because it'd be a double attack. So he really can't take there. And there's no real way of handling the arena. He'd lose a piece. So he has to retreat back. c4. Now Karyak is coming in with an attack. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Why does this work? Let me see. Let's say he takes here. Oh, okay. Smack. And I believe castling kingside might be a potential idea there. Yeah, I'm thinking castle kingside here. Even if he plays there, you have I think that's check. And then you can actually come in here and move in for a KO even there. Well, maybe. He does have there, and if he takes... I'm not sure if I like that position. Yeah, because I don't think you want to do that. I was just looking. Yeah, I was just looking at that. See why that was an interesting idea. Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of attack coming down that route for sure. Okay, what does he play? Okay, he plays the inaccurate move. So queen to c7, yeah. Targets g for sure. Castles. Now Nakamura's, if Karyakin was to play that, it's a slight advantage for white. It's actually equal at that point. And then takes. And very equal. That feels very drawish. Why do you play knight to let's see, I think if he plays here, let me see what I think maybe potentially that's an idea. I think that's what he was talking about. I think that's maybe what they were thinking of. And trying to see where can the queen move at this point. I think it's okay at that point. Let me see. Yeah, so oh, pushing this is why. Knight there, and that's a problem. Because if he tries, at that point there's no spot for the knight to go to. It's trapped. The knight's trapped at this point. Can't go there, can't go there, can't go here. Yeah, the knight was trapped. So only move. That's the only way to save the knight. Let's see, what would actually have been a better move for Karyakin? So, moving the bishop to the... Okay. And then after pushing... Maybe he's got queen... Oh, it wants to go back. Okay. I see. He wants to control these squares. He wants to dominate the knight. And then at this point, you can actually take. Yeah, if he takes, and then I think you can open up the position if I'm not mistaken here. Oh, so he wants to. Okay, king would have to go there, and then you have that. Okay. Okie dokie dookie. Interesting for sure. Yeah, that's an interesting move. Yeah. Oh, Nakamura even missed an attack there, but Castley's correct, so. Another positional miss for Karyakin. That attacks, and now potentially he has a draw, maybe. Maybe he can get his pawn center rolling down like the line of a football team just coming down the board. So that was oops. Okay, there. Okay, e4, because now if this bishop takes, the rook's going to come in. So here, come on. He can't take there, so this rook, so he can't do that. So rook e1, h takes. Oh, you gotta love that. You gotta love it. Oh, that is so sweet when you can sack a piece like that. Let's see, what does that actually do, by the way? Oh, it went, let's see, if he king takes. What does that actually do? It takes, king takes. Oh, you win back the piece, okay. With check, and then, okay, you win a pawn. Nice tactic. And now Karyakin, whatever chance Karyakin had for an advantage is gone. Yeah, that's not fun. Yeah, he's trying. There's really no. Oh wow, what's that all about? Why didn't he play there? Let's see. I think what they were thinking of is there maybe. Let's see here. Takes. And now the bishop's under attack, and Karyakin is down on a pawn. And now his knight comes out. So it's really interesting for sure. Yeah, and white's better in this position. White's a lot better because black has. Doesn't this remind you of Fabiano versus Mickey Adams? This reminds me of the Fabiano versus Mickey Adams. If these knights were gone, if both these knights were gone, it would be very similar to that. I don't know. What do you think? Doesn't that remind you a little bit of that game, the London Classic? Or is that just me? So, really interesting, huh? Check, king up. I kind of can see why he'd play that there and infiltrate in, potentially go there and hammer home. Well, it shows you that potentially this is a game that Fabiano trained with his second on right back here. He might have actually trained on Nakamura's game and put into Stockfish this move sequence. I think, let me see. Something similar to this, and then maybe the knights trade off or something, but something very similar to that. I had a position in a over the board game similar to this, but I actually had 3 pawns, and I was able to lock down the position and win. Because he actually played in passing. No, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I think I had a pawn here, something like that. I had a similar game like this that I doubled up, and I had a pawn there, and I pushed him back and mated him, my opponent. Let's see if he takes here, takes, and then you have a knight there. If he pushes, I'm thinking check, and then you can get in behind this. And if he comes this way, you can actually bring it back and then start going up the board. But I'm not exactly sure, so he played the right move. So check at this point is correct. And now takes is the idea. And now you got to check, and you potentially have, when he plays here, you've locked the position down. What if he plays there though? Oh, check, and you win this pawn. Okay, gotcha. Okay, he's coming up the board. And this is game over here. There's no way Kariya. Oh wait, why didn't Nakamura do opposition? This is the oh wow, that is a mistake, isn't it? So he kept the right. Oh wow, I gotcha. I see why F3 is a mistake now, because you can actually play there. Okay. Well, potentially you can move over and get to the or you come back there, and maybe he can block you off. I don't know. I think you're fast enough to I think you're still winning, but why push it when you can triangulate, so so that you can actually come up. Maybe if he plays here, you have king to e2, then you're passing the move to him, and then you can actually play h4 and maybe decoy the king away and grab this pawn and queen it. Yeah, it's more of a as Jeremy Stillman calls it, fox in the chicken coop. Yeah, this is a really wait a second. Why is the computer doing bad moves here? That's a horrible move. Why did the computer actually do that move? That's actually a losing move. I don't understand why Stockfish did that move. This move here is actually best, because Nakamura wants to actually make a pass pawn, come over here, queen that, take that pawn, move up here and queen that pawn. I don't understand why it had that move. Go figure there. He took. He's putting the, at this point, There's no way of holding without losing. Yeah, you could queen there. Wow. Snikes. It all goes back to endgame play. This is actually best. Still losing though. And at this point it's crushing, so. Yeah, there's no way, it's not fast enough to, I don't know, I probably would move there if it was me. I would just move and, yeah, just lock down. I wouldn't do any of this kind of, this and then allow the pawn to be pushed. No, 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 no. No, you know what? Just play standard. Get the idea in an end game is if you can get a queen in front of the passed pawn, you can stop it and then bring your king over and win. So don't play kind of flashy like that. Just bring your queen to a2, get your king involved, come on over, win the pawn, destroy the other king. I don't like flashy moves like that. Boom. And let's work out to the mate. Boom shakalaka. Boom. You gotta love that. Alrighty. Well, one sec. I'll be right back. I'll leave you with this puzzle. One sec. Yeah. Yeah, especially if, and when you get to that, I agree with you. When you get to that point in the game back here, well, we'll do it. Let's go back. Where's our line? Oh, sorry. The computer could do that. Let me see. Where was our line? I think this was it right here. Right there. Yeah, that's more automatic. I agree with you. And especially if you get into, let's say you an over the board game, and you probably have maybe 10 to 12 seconds, and you have a delay of 5 seconds. That's an auto move that you can play. You know, when you're getting low in time, unless you're a grandmaster, we're going to get there. By the way, we'll become grandmasters too. Okay, so but one step at a time. I would not be able to in 12 seconds with a delay of 5 seconds be able to see this move here. I'd more than likely play there and get my king involved because I can move my king in 1 second and still have my 12 seconds on the board. I may get a little nervous in red, but I'd be able to checkmate my opponent. It'd be a little bit difficult, but we can get there. So yeah, let's move that over here. I'll do puzzles there. Okay. Oh boy, 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 boy. Okay, yeah, Queen C4 is an interesting idea. I agree with you on that. Let's set this up and take a look at that. That was a really good game. But you got to see the Jeremy Silman reactive chess in its finest when Karyakin was constantly having to deal with Nakamura's all-out attack on the king side. Or sorry, I think it was king side, and it was just not fun. So yeah, I'd hate to be under that much pressure, especially when you're facing Nakamura. Hey, someday, guys, we may be able to face those guys. I'm hoping someday too. That'd be really fun. And then we're going to be good enough that we'll be able to host it on Chess Cruncher. We'll have to do that when we get to that rating. We'll have to do that, and we can at the London, we could download it here, and everybody can see it. You know, that'd be cool. So you gotta always look to the future for that. Okie dokie. Let's see. Queen to. Oops, I forgot the kings. That would help if I put the kings on the board. Okay, queen C4. King E3. Rook D. Oh, bishop. Sorry, bishop. C5 check. Rook D3. I'd play queen. Queen takes after. 1 second. Let me set this up here. Oh, wait a second. I had D4. My bad. Sorry. That does make a difference. No, it has to be D4 because the king would have to move forward. E3 and then bishop C5, and the only way to block the king would be to move the rook down. So here, 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 and there. Yeah. And then at this point we would play our queen takes, and we would take there with our queen. King would have to go to E2, and then we play queen takes e2 because you'd have to move back. And then if king d3, king d3 after that. Let me see. Then you can play queen back to d4. When the king moves, you snap the rook off and then you just destroy him. Oh, king d2. Okay, so you want to do king d2. Gotcha. Okay, we'll reset all that up then. We'll give it another shot. Let's do this thing. Oh, I got it. I got it. Queen check here. If the rook intercepts, we have queen check. If the king moves down, we have bishop check. And if the king moves down, I think it has to be the check there because that's the only forcing move. Yeah, I believe the check is correct. Then he actually has to come forward or he has to intercept. So if he plays, if we play queen c4, if he intercepts with rook to d3, I think we have pawn at that point. If he intercepts here, I think we have pawn to e4. If bishop takes e4, queen bishop takes e4. Nope, that's a bad move. My bad. That's a horrible move because he can actually pin our king. So that's a horrible move. Or not horrible, but that's not the correct move now that I think about it. Let's see here. So check. First of all, you check. So if he plays there, yay. Maybe we play there, and then after there he moves. There. How do we handle that at that point? Well, we'd have to go at that point queen c2. But if he goes to e3, we do have bishop d. At that point, we have bishop d2. That if rook takes d2, we have queen queen to c3, check, forking the king and the rook. So if the rook intercepts, we would take there, and we'd actually win a rook, and we'd be winning at that point. Because then if the king tries, well, the bishop would, yeah, that's interesting. Let's see what he does, because I believe that the move is correct, that here, because that's okay. So he does play that. So we were right. E4, we played E4, bishop takes E4, bishop takes E4, then we have a check. Got check, then if he intercepts, we win the bishop with check. I don't know. I think we win in this position. I believe we win in this position. Because then after takes, check. Maybe we don't. Maybe after king, maybe king f. Interesting. That stinks. Yeah, we don't win. Ouch. Yep, that doesn't win. That's right. No win there. No win there. I'm thinking queen to queen c2 at this point, and if he comes forward, it is e4. Let's see, e4. No, it can't be e4 on that, because because e4, I don't believe, I'm not sure if that works. Let's see. Bishop would have to take. We can't take with the queen because we would actually lose. He would, I think at this point, he would take here, we would check, then he has at that point king to f, king f1, and I believe he holds at that point. I believe he holds. So I don't think we can actually push yet. I'm thinking queen to c2, and if he then can't play king to f1. Hey, how you doing? He would have to actually come straight down. So here, straight down. Because if he plays up, we just take and we win. So there, and then we can actually check here. And if he goes forward, potentially, I think we can actually, after we play there, he comes forward. I believe we can actually come forward, and then he has to take this pawn. And we can play rook takes after that, and I believe we win a rook, and potentially another fork would be coming. So you're thinking after here, there, back down. You're thinking king to f. That actually, I believe, loses to queen takes, rook, check. And I believe we're close to mate at this point, because I think at that point he would have to go to there. Yeah, I believe that's a checkmate, close to checkmate at that point. And I believe then after he moves there, we can actually move our queen down again, and he's going to have to move up. We just snap off another rook, and we'd basically be totally dominating. Yeah, I don't see anything better for black than to actually check. I don't see any. I really don't see anything. This covers that square. And he can't move back here because of taking. So here actually, queen to c2 forces king forward. So I believe queen there is correct. Yeah. Wow, he actually played that. That's a big blunder. Queen takes rook. And we'll actually go over the line that we talked about. We'll turn on the engine. We'll see what actually happens here. Bishop. King has to come forward. Check. King comes there. You were right, by the way, there. And if he intercepts here, you can actually at this point play there, and if he takes there, so we'd be crushing at this point. So we'd be up so much material, it would be not funny. So that's a good move. Good move. So we had the basically the KO. Either way, we had him KO'd. So that was a really good one. That was fun. I gotta say that was I love the king hunts. When you get to do a king hunt, that's so much fun. You don't get to do that every day. Let's get everything set up first. Sometimes it's hard to, I gotta make sure I got everything set up right. Queen, so the queen started out, let me see. We're all set up properly. Oops, I need one more rook. I knew I forgot something. There we go. We're good now. Yeah, this is very complicated, but it's so much fun. Those are the funnest ones. Okay, queen goes to c3. That is threatening the rook, but we have potentially we have rook to. No, we don't want to do that. That's bad. That's not a good move. No, 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 no. No, that's a bad. So we don't want to do that because we're not worried really about anything happening along this diagonal, because once we move our rook, we're fine. Thinking that we have, if I'm not mistaken, we have a pin along here, so we're gonna win material. It potentially could be rook to c4. That does a double attack. That attacks the queen and it attacks the rook at the same time. Huh. There's a couple ideas that I have there. The only sitch I'm concerned about is here. If we take here, I'm concerned about queen to c. I guess we'd be fine, wouldn't we? No, 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 no. He has a check. My bad. He has a check here. So that has to be the move that stops the check here. If we play anything, he can actually save the position with a check, and he'll mate us, because we would have to intercept with one of these ideas. He would, if we did something like that, he can actually come down here. We'd have to throw bishop, check, queen, check, and then check. What if he takes c4? What if pawn? Oh, pawn takes. Oh, that is true, isn't it? Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's rook to. Maybe I was ahead of myself, and it's actually rook c7. That might be the rook c7 might be the one that actually closes the gap. Because we have to seal that c8 up. If he can get c8 in, he wins the game. Queen c8 wins the entire house because of the bishop and the queen mate. Our flight square is blocked by this queen, and to get a flight square would end up in mate. So I think I see that you're right about rook to c7 is the best. Rook c7 actually wins a lot of material at that point, because he really can't play. If he plays here, we have a discovered check winning the, so he'd actually have to move his queen. He'd have to move his queen, and then I believe then we can actually do some damage to him. Yeah, I think it's I believe it's queen rook c7 that covers that square and attacks the queen at the same time. So this queen's going to have to move once rook c7. Let's see, where would be a good spot for the queen at that point? Trying to see, there's really, well, maybe there's a potential. He might play there. He might play queen to e3 at that point. Thinking queen to e3 might be the idea. Yeah, I think queen e3 actually holds the position, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that holds the position. And there's no more discovery check anymore. No, I truly believe queen e3 is actually the winning move sequence. I don't really see anything else that he can do. If he plays queen e3, I don't see anything that he can do really. Well, maybe he can play, no, because then he could actually snap off our bishop. So we're kind of stuck in this scenario here. Maybe we actually have to just trade off queens, and maybe we just got to do that. That might be the idea, because then we're threatening to take there as well. So maybe it is queen c7, queen takes c7, rook takes c7. Well, then he's got king to g2, and then he has, the position is basically equal at that. Yeah, and we'd actually be losing here. No. Well, yeah, we would be, wouldn't we? Huh. Ouch. Very painful here. The only problem with moving the queen, see if we played here, I'm sorry, if we played here, he moved there, and we tried to play here or something like that, he has a mating idea again. E7 at this point, E8, sorry, at this point is a mating threat. Interesting. I like the way you think. That's good. I like it. I like the way you think. Here, here, and then at this point you can actually play rook to e7. I like rook e7. I like the way you're thinking. That's sweet. Very sweet. Potentially, it might be it might be rook to e if I'm not mistaken, guys. I think rook e4 potentially is an idea, because then if he tries checking here, we can actually intercept with rook to e8, and we still have this pin right here. The queen guards that rook. He's going to lose a rook. I believe queen rook e7 is. Well, if we played here and he played there, we can't do e6 because let's see, you're saying rook c7, queen e7, and then rook c6. Kind of really liking rook to e4 at this point. It covers that square, also allows rook to e8. I believe rook e4 is the devastating attack, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's that there, because he still controls there and also controls here. So huh. Well, if he plays here, let's say we play here, he plays here, we intercept, he takes. Our queen can actually take at this moment. The queen can take because of this pin. Because the pin we win his queen, and it's game over at that point. And it's curtains for him. So what do you think? I'm going with rook to e4. That's me. What do you guys think? Do you see anything else that? Let's see here. Also, the reason I like rook to e4 is if you tried bishop, e3, we can just take bishop takes e3 protected by the rook, and we win a bishop and a rook. What do you guys think? Rook e4. And potentially with rook e4 we also have rook to e2 is an idea as well, with the support of the bishop. Well, maybe it is rook here, over there. Rook to g4. Let's take a look at this. This potentially, I just want to see some. Rook c7, queen to e3, rook right there. Queen takes bishop. Rook takes, pawn check. Nope. No, it doesn't work. So it has to be rook to e then at this point. Oh man, this is very complicated one. Let's give it a shot. Bishop takes rook at this point. Boom shakalaka boom. Okay. Yeah, we'll look at this line. We'll look at the line. And what we're going to do is, after we look at this line, I'm probably going to log, because I think that I'll have to check real quick. I gotta see if there's anything that I'd like to go over. I might go over one more of my. No, I don't want to. No, that I'll have to save that for tomorrow. Well, but we'll go over this line here. And actually, we got a couple lines I do want to go over. So we have a couple lines we want to go over here, anyways. So we'll use this as a as like a game that we would be going over. So we'll analyze this like a game, because then cause I'm getting kind of a little tired. So, and this was a really good one to end on. But I do want to see exactly what you're saying about. Let's see. Okay. Let's see, rook. Okay, so we are right there. You were right about c6. Let me see. You're right about, I think, let's see, c6. Oh, and then the king moves in. Okay. All right. Yeah. At this point, then the rook could take, and then queen takes. Yeah, it's equal at this point. Oh, then you get a check. Okay, so that line, it did not work. So we had another line. What other line did we have? I think we had one more. Yeah. Let's see. There had to have been another line. What other line did we do? Oh yeah, we were looking at this line here. That's right. Okay, that takes, and see, like what we were talking about, it doesn't work, because even if you take here, here, and there, we're still down a piece, so we lose there. Trying to see, is there anything else? Did we go over everything? Trying to see. Did you guys have any other questions that you wanted to go over? Okay. Let's see. 12, 30, 11, 30. Oh, Rook C1. Okay, let's take a look at that. Rook C1, Rook C7, Queen E1. Okay, we wanted to go over that one. Queen E1, Rook to C2, Rook C2. Rook takes C2, and then Rook to Rook there, and I believe that actually wins. No, it doesn't win. Oh, it equalizes. Can't he just check here? Oh no, that's right. He loses if we do that. So he has to take there and then queen there. And yeah, there's enough material to do it, and it's a draw. Ah, interesting. So a draw. Hold on there. 1 second. Okay. Let's see here. What have we got? Anything else? Let's see. Have we gone over everything? Did we go over everything? Oh, I was thinking queen trades. That was another idea. Okay, takes. Yeah, we'd get mated at that point. Okay, all right. Let's take a look at. Yeah, we were talking about rook to a1. So let's see why that works. Okay, so pawn takes at that point. Queen takes pawn. Then we can play bishop there, and we're attacking. And I believe we'd have to play here because if he took here, I think he takes. If I'm not mistaken, he takes there, and rook takes. King takes, check. And if he goes king A there. We check here. He goes up there. Check. Mate 6. So okay, there. Then he would play there, there. There's your mate. I think we went. Did we go over everything? I think we went over everything. Do you guys have any other lines that you want to go over? Yeah, okay. Well, guys, with that, I'm gonna log off a little early. So I appreciate you all. Oh no, okay. I appreciate you all coming on, and we did some tactics. Went over a Nakamura game that Fox, yeah, showed us, and it's really, really good. I appreciate that you did that. That really showed the Jeremy Silman how the imbalance works with a more active queen. How the computer sometimes is even inaccurate, inaccurate a little bit, and where sometimes humans are correct. And also, it shows that endgame studies are important. And let me see what else. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, reactive chess as well. That's one more thing I wanted to remember to share that with you guys. The Nakamura game, Karyakin had to basically react to all of Nakamura's threats. So when you're reacting to your opponent's threat is when your opponent starts to win. So you got to remember that you got to stop your opponent, but remember to also implement your plan, and don't how can I say this? Don't basically do what he wants. Make sure that you have a plan as you're going, because if you don't have a plan and your opponent does, usually he's going to win. I had my teacher once tell me that as long as you have a plan that's okay and that works and doesn't hurt you, it's better to have a plan than not to have a plan. Even if it slightly helps out your opponent, it's better to have a plan. So just remember that. Always have a plan when you're working on the position. So with that, guys, one second. As Wesley So says, serve the Lord Jesus. I say God bless, and I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Remember, keep studying chess. End games are really important, so we got to see that in the game that Fox showed us with Nakamura. That's how he was able to win. Also, remember that you don't want to react to your opponent's threat. You want to make them react to you. And study is important. And remember, always keep moving forward. Remember, even if you lose, don't think of it as a loss. Go back, find out an area where you need to work on it, and use it as a learning experience. But always keep moving forward. And as Hannibal Smith says, there's always a plan in the position, and you need to. I think he told his team, like, thinking a certain amount of moves ahead is a plan, but to know what your opponent's going to do before he does it, that is a plan. So remember that. Be able to see farther than your opponent. And remember, when you get to do that and you get a win, if it's over the board, you say to yourself, I love it when a plan comes together. So have a great rest of the night, guys. Be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.